There's a lot of talk about enjoying the mission, the journey, but how do you do that when everything here is about what's next?
Well, yeah, that's the balance that you have to have. To be in the moment, understanding what the moment means. And if you get a little bit ahead of yourself and start thinking about what comes after, then you're going to struggle in the moment that you're in. So same as actually doing a game, you try to win every possession and you don't think about the outcome of the game. It's not a lot easier said than done, but I think being a little bit more mature, I think, does help you do that.
Emily Adams, Hartford Current. Geno, you saw this team in the Elite Eight last year. You saw them in the regular season. How different do they look right now, missing Ju Ju, but also just compared to the team that you saw in the tournament last year?
Well, going into the tournament, based on this season, I think they grew from the experience that they had last season, from the season and our game. I think they grew from that, and you could see it. I think the pieces that they added, their young players, certainly changed the makeup of the team, and that was really evident yesterday, obviously. We saw firsthand what it's like to play without someone who means so much to your team. We haven't been immune to a lot of that stuff over the years, and at this time of the year, as you saw last night, someone has to step up and do all the heavy lifting, and that normally would be somebody like Ju Ju. But if you have enough good people around her, which they do, they will get a chance to stand out even more than they would have ordinarily. So that could compensate for it. So yeah, they're a different team in a positive way, and they're a different team in a negative way because of what happened.
How does she, them wanting to play through her a little bit more, kind of change what you guys have to do, and how do you guys look to kind of slow her down?
Maybe it changes how they look, in that she gets more touches than maybe she would. But I thought in the first game when we played them in Hartford, I thought she was one of the big differences in the game because of how many times they went to her later in the game. So I think hopefully we're better equipped to deal with that than we were back then. But they can shoot the ball really, really well, and if you spend too much time on, it was a similar challenge to last night, right? You've got two things you've got to deal with, and it's just a matter of at which point in the game what are you willing to give up at that point in the game? The only thing certain is that you can't play against her one-on-one, just like we couldn't play last night one-on-one against Reagan Beer. So it's going to involve a lot of people, and it's going to involve a lot of chess matches.
Maggie Benoni, CT Insider. You've long said the Elite Eight is one of the hardest games in the tournament. You've had some historic battles in this round. What is it about this game in particular that makes it so difficult, especially when you know what could be next?
That's what makes it so difficult, what could be next. If what was coming next wasn't that important, it wouldn't be difficult. And everybody reacts differently to it. Preparing for the game is just like preparing for any other game. when it comes down to that. But I think the actual game itself, you know, you want it to be like any other NCAA tournament game, but similar to what comes next if you win Monday night, there's an added pressure that you put on yourself if you're not careful, where this shot's going to decide whether we win or lose. Well, the score's 2-2 in the first quarter. You know, it's not really. So you have to, you know, get yourself to get in that mindset, and people say, well, you know, take it one game at a time, take it one play at a time. We preach that, but in reality, you know, some players are going to rise to the occasion and some are going to shrink. It's just the nature of it.
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Kennedy Smith's first game back from injury was the earlier matchup this season in Stores. What do you see different maybe from her now, given all that time? And how does her defense maybe affect the game, especially for them?
Well, it certainly did yesterday. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, you know? Yeah, they're, you know, 3 steals, that shows up on the stat sheet, but how many plays are impacted by her presence and, you know, getting a tip of a pass or, you know, anything that disrupts the other team's offense. So I think she's really, really good at that. And, you know, coming from October to now, obviously the number of games that she's played and how many of those situations she's been in, you know, you keep growing and you keep learning new things and you keep finding more ways to impact the game. And I think that's really coinciding with if Juju's not here and Kenny had not made any progress, I think they'd be way worse off. But I think those freshmen, especially her, have made so much progress that it takes a little bit of the sting out of it. And sometimes freshmen surprise you. You know, you think they're going to be the most affected, and sometimes they're the least affected by the moment. So,
Hartford Current. Geno, could you talk about Ashlyn's toughness yesterday after when she got hit? She kind of bounced right back up, and also how she kept the team kind of afloat, you know, in the second quarter yesterday and going forward to Monday. What do you think she will do?
Yeah, I know that I am guilty of taking Ashlyn Shade for granted. Probably the thing I appreciate the most about her is that she's my target for everything that goes wrong on the team. And I appreciate that she doesn't hold it against me personally. I remember last year, she made a comment, every day coach tells me how bad I am, how unaware I am defensively, how I get everything wrong every time, and that he thinks I'm terrible. But I know that's just his way of saying he loves me. I mean, who won't want a player like that? I wish I had 12 of them. And I do take her for granted, but at the same time, 99 out of 100 times, I can't take her out of the game. Whether she's playing well or not playing well, whether she's scoring or not scoring, there's just something about having her in the game that makes me feel better. Until it doesn't. But I don't take her out anyway. She just gives me an opportunity to vent. But I know she's never going to back down. I know she's never going to give in to anybody. She's never going to stop competing, never going to stop, you know, trying to make a play. And it can go unnoticed until that first half yesterday when you realize she's the only one that's able to get something going. And I respect her so much because last year, you know, she was playing 30-some minutes a game and starting in last night's game. And yesterday she had as big an impact as she did last year in a different role. You know, she loves the game of basketball. She's a hell of a competitor. And I have confidence in her.